Good morning and half a day. The Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, and Housing is now called to order. For the record, today is Thursday, June 17, 2021, and the time now is, 9:07. Notice for this budget hearing was disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets. First public notice was issued on June 7, followed by June 10, and today is June 17. The committee will hear and accept testimonies on Bill 55-36 COR, the fiscal year 2022 Appropriation Act as requested by the Governor, relative to the Guahan Academy Charter School Council, fiscal year 2022 budget request. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues that have joined me. We have the oversight chair of the charter school is Majority Leader Senator Talina Nelson. We have the Minority Leader, Senator Chris Drainus, and we have Senator Tony Atta present. General rules for this public hearing. Those testifying on behalf of Bill 55-36 COR relative to the Guahan Academy Charter School Councils have been invited to the panel. We have Ms. Vanjie Cepeda, the chairperson of the Charter School Council. We have Tamar Celis, am I correct? Okay. We have Speaker Judy Wampet. We have Grace Edrosa. Okay, if I murder your name, I apologize up front, okay? So don't fault me for that. And we have Shireen Mantanon, am I correct? All right, so I think I've acknowledged everyone. Ms. Hernandez, I'm from iLearn. Nishihara. What a name, and I know the last name well, you know? But anyway, thank you for joining us, charter school members. Written testimony shall be submitted to the committee. Please provide my legislative staff with your written testimony for photocopying. Testimony may be read, and lengthy testimony should be summarized to about 5 minutes. But you know, the 5 minutes, we're going to allow you all morning to discuss your issue if needed, okay? Those testifying will be allowed to present oral testimony. Once you're done, please remain in the room for questions or for additional testimony as may be desired by members of the committee. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of this agenda, which is the budget, okay, of the Charter School Council. Personal inference as to the character or motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violation of the general rule of conduct will result in their removal from this budget hearing. Proper form and decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room for these proceedings. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form and decorum may be restricted from providing oral testimony and will be removed from the room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and that you speak into the microphone. You will state your name and your title for the record. That's at the point when we ask each charter school to present their program or a summary of their program and their requests, supported by the council. The council will start this out first, and then we just continue from there. At this time, I ask the panel members to please rise so the Sergeant Arms will swear you all in. Ladies?
Please rise and raise your right hand. Under penalty of perjury, do you all affirm that any and all information that you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Mr. Chair, they're all under oath. You may proceed.
Thank you, Sergeant Arms. We will now begin with Ms. Cepeda. You will begin, and if you can, introduce everybody. But ladies, when you first speak, identify yourself and the school, the charter school you represent, and then from there on, we won't ask you to identify yourself further. All right? Thank you. Ms. Cepeda.
Half a day, and good morning, Senator, San Agustin, Senator Talina Nelson, Senator Atta, and Senator Duenas. Thank you for being here to hear the charter school's budget. My name is Evangeline Marie Cepeda. I am the chairperson for the Guahan Academy Charter Schools. I'm here to advocate and get your support for this from this legislature to push for $6,200 the cost per student pupil. I'm asking this and I'm pleading with you. I know every year we come before you and we say, students, the students are the utmost, education is the utmost. I'm here to say that, unfortunately, it is. They are the future of tomorrow. And I want to say, most recently, that I'm proud to say that we've had major milestones with the charter schools. First and foremost, I want to applaud the 20 graduates from the Guahan Academy. I was there. It was wonderful to see these students. They're vibrant, they're excited about life and graduation. It was awesome. I just need to say that for the record. And I want to thank the Guahan Academy, Dr. Wampat, and all of her faculty. They did an excellent job. It was a beautiful graduation. And you know, I spoke to them randomly and asked the students, what did you love most about being here? What did you learn? What did you gain? Every one of them consistently said they love coming to school. They love the learning environment. They love the whole family unit, how small it is and how close they are, and the caring of education. And another milestone was iLearn. Last week, iLearn had a groundbreaking ceremony. You know, it was beautiful. We're having our first charter school being built, newly built, over up north in Dededo, my village. I just want to say that these are great things that are occurring with the charter schools. So, you know, not everything is negative, and we're working cohesively. You can you can see it here today. All the 4 charter schools, their representatives are here today. We have DOA who's here today. So we work, as a chairperson, I want to say that I'm a team player, and we're working to move forward because at the end of the day, the goal is the children of charter schools. And I come to you with that. I don't want to take too long because we have other members here who are just as important that want to passionately advocate and push for the money that we're asking for the budget. But I want to say with the little stats is that Guahan Academy had 20 graduates this year. As of today, they're at 747. iLearn stats they had 119 kindergarteners, 111 fifth graders. The total number of students is 740. SIFA had total number of students 302, and their goal is right now is 350. The Career Tech, right now, as of today, they have 27 enrolled, and we're pushing for 100 students. The demand is there. There is a demand for students and parents wanting to put their children in the charter schools. And despite the unique situation and the difficulty with the COVID, each and every school, all 4 schools, have done all they can do to ensure that these students that they have in attending their schools are getting the utmost of education, learning experience. And whatever the difficulties they may have been, because it's been a struggle, they've utilized whatever funding sources they've had to the fullest, and at the end of the day, it goes back to the students. So with that said, Senators, I want to go ahead and again say that we have all the 4 schools represented here today, along with DOA. And I will step back and let the rest of them share their testimony. Senators, thank you.
Okay, and before we move on to that, Ms. Cepeda, I just want to do one more count. You have Guan 740, am I correct?
740, that's iLearn.
740 is iLearn, okay. Guan is, what is the number on their budget request? Is how many students?
Senator, I apologize. I just got word now that it just went up. So this was just based on our last board meeting,
Okay.
which was just a few weeks ago. But I was just informed now. I apologize that it went up. And so with iLearn,
It's
I'm sorry,
740.
iLearn, I apologize.
740, right?
Okay, 740.
Okay.
GACC is, I guess Dr. Wampat is saying that it did go up for GACC. I apologize.
Yes, our current is 765.
If you can please state your name, ma'am, just so we, matter of record.
My
when anybody's-
apologies, Dr. Wonpat from GACC. And I got the latest this morning, and it's 765.
765, okay. What I'm trying to do is just get a count so that my colleagues and everybody, the people of Guam can hear
Yes.
what your request is, and then we'll work from there as we move along in the hearing, okay? And then you've got SIFA at 350, am I correct?
Correct.
SIFA 350 is the number, is the magic number, and Career Tech is 100,
That's correct.
correct? Okay, so that comes up to 1955, correct? Total?
Yes. Yes, Senator.
Okay. Okay, and did you want the schools to each charter school to go ahead and testify?
Absolutely,
Great.
Senator.
So we're gonna start from, which side do you want to start from? We'll start from the speaker then.
Yes.
Speaker, welcome, Madam President. Speaker Wampat.
Buenas and half a day. Senator San Agustin, Senator Nelson, Senator Ada, and Senator Duenas, thank you so much for being here during the charter school's public hearing on its budget. This is an unprecedented time for education because CDC requirements calling for safety actions, intensified cleaning, disinfecting and ventilation, social distancing, limitations on sharing, staff training, checking for signs and symptoms, plans for student illness or preventing illness, maintenance of healthy operations, teaching, 3 instruction formats, face-to-face, online, and hard copy. The unexpected closure of the physical school buildings led to the administrators, teachers, and education stakeholders to anticipate a widespread and significant loss of learning for many students. Parents say that they are unhappy with the education their kids have been getting during the pandemic, and they want to see how schools plan to make up for lost time. We feel that to offer in-person summer school, of course, targets children at risk of academic failure due to poor virtual learning during the pandemic will help reduce their learning losses. Some students have been provided only virtual learning for close to a year, while school buildings have been closed or restricted. CDC guidelines are fluid and changing for schools. They are new normal for schools, and I'm appreciative of the Education Stabilization Fund 1 and 2, and now the American Rescue Plan, ARP, to assist schools in implementing CDC requirements and addressing learning loss without the use of local appropriations. But what does this mean for GACS? The biggest ticket item is that it's not an allowable expense from ESF or ARP, and that is personnel. Reopening schools to be in line with CDC guidelines requires a hiring of additional school personnel. For example, custodians to keep up with cleaning and disinfecting frequently touched surfaces in the schools. Health and wellness program coordinator to assist the nurse to prevent the further spread of the virus and deal with sick children. Substitute teachers to cover for absent teachers infected with COVID and who will be quarantined for 14 days, or just regular sickness or to care for sick children. School aides to screen student temperatures before they enter the campus, to monitor, supervise, and enforce social distancing. Counselor to help students cope with the social emotional issues. Teacher assistants to help students who are academically behind and assist with multi-levels for in-person or online students. And teachers to teach online students and to meet the overflow of the 3 feet distance. Other costs to consider. Food service costs to provide single-serve breakfast and lunch using disposable utensils for meals. Forcing schools to spend more money on utensils such as bags or other materials to provide these meals without trays or washable dishes. To ensure ventilation systems for the circulation of outdoor air. Air purifiers are now in order, but we still need to open doors and windows. This will cause the ACs to overwork, whereby increasing power bills. The use of enclosed tents with portable air conditioners for overflow student numbers to keep them 3 feet apart, which will also increase the power bill. Enforcement of hand washing, whereby increasing the water bill. These are only a few of the costs to schools. All these things have real costs associated to them. The allotment amount is based for all of us for ESF and ARP on our student enrollment from school year 2019. For GACC, the number is 699. The first set of funds that we receive, which we call ESF 1, is to address distance learning due to closure of schools. This is in the form of electronic devices, software, and MiFis to get school children on distance learning. Other supplies such as photocopying for hard copy lessons and providing other instructional supplies for children to use at home. At the peak of the pandemic, PPE supplies were critical for health and safety of students, faculty, and staff. And lastly, contractual services for social-emotional due to loss of family to COVID and the lockdown. The breakdown that we received and we were approved for was $761,444.68. And the breakdown, would you like for me to go ahead and do it, or you just want to go ahead and read it and I'll move on to the next? Senator, you want me to just give you all the breakdown? For like the first one, which is ESF 1? Because I know they said for us to go ahead and give you as much details, but I don't know.
Yes, please, just continue on with your testimony, and then every charter school will get a shot to make their spill, and then we'll move from there. I also like to recognize Senator Brown has joined us also this morning. All right, so please continue, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Senator Brown, for joining us as well. For equipment, our allotment was $28,958.29. For supplies, it was $183,259.82. For technology supplies, $316,728. Contractual services, $81,454.60. Our subtotal came up to $610,471. Our available balance is $151,043.97. That shortfall was because of the Mac Pros that we originally had requested for 77 and had been reduced to 36, therefore leaving this balance, which we could turn around and reissue new requisitions for the other items that has been approved on ESF 1. On ESF 2, equipment is $812,980. For supplies, it's $639,932. Contractual services, $622,970. Our subtotal is $2,075,882. The latest is the American Rescue Plan, and this is to address learning loss, and all schools must provide a 20% to address learning loss in the form of summer school or extended after-school program in the new school year. All other object categories are to support in terms of instructional supplies, materials, and equipment. So for equipment, our allotment is $811,367. Our supplies is $1,807,504. Contractual services, $1,966,891. Our subtotal is $4,585,762. And just to let you know that this has not yet been approved by US DOE, so we are not able to start cutting requisitions for the ARP. The 20% requirement for learning loss for equipment, we submitted $508,650. For supplies, $1,027,841. For contractual services, $410,160. And our total 20% learning loss requirement is $1,946,651. Our current enrollment, and that's as of this morning, is 765, and we're requesting to lift our student cap to meet the needs of these students. GACC's primary curriculum instruction is direct instruction for reading, language arts, and math. We also have Edgenuity for other content areas and for credit recovery for our high school students. GACC has developed its own curriculum for science, social studies, and health to follow Common Core standards and the NCSS, which is the National Curriculum Standards for Social Studies. On the area of the district-wide assessment, which we call ACT Aspire, it was administered in May of this year. Last school year, US DOE waived the administration of the assessment. Unfortunately, for this school year, we only administered the test to what we call the in-person students for grades 3 to 10, which is the requirement of ACT. It's only given to grades 3 to 10. So the number of students that we had in person were 225, which is 53 of the student population. These students were on hard copy. During the lockdown, these students received hard copy lessons once a week with little to no interaction with teachers. So the results, of course, are not what we like to see, but when you take into consideration the number of students and what they've been through and the type of instructional platform, it's easy to understand. So for English, it was in need of support, 25%. Those who are closed, 41%. Those who are ready, 22%, and exceeding, 12%. For reading comprehension, in need of support, 78%. Closed, 14, ready, 8, and exceeding 1. For science, and science is new, this is the first year in which science is now included in the ACT, need of support, 88%, closed, 8%, ready, 3%, exceeding 1%, and math in need of support, 88%, closed, 11, ready, 0, and exceeding 1. Senators, we need to bring our children back to school to close the gap of learning loss. We cannot in good conscience provide adequate modes of learning or risk the health and safety of our students and staff by returning to the classroom without the necessary funding to operate. We have done everything possible and maximized federal dollars to ensure critical needs continue, but we need your help. We recommend to increase the fairness of distribution of appropriation. In closing, if I may, I want to thank you, Senator San Agustin and Senator Nelson, for introducing Bill 150-36 to amend the budget law for charter schools to use its unexpended funds from fiscal years 2019 and 2020 to support payments of charter schools' prior year obligations. We stand in support of Bill 150-36. We also want to request for the same language to use unexpended funds from fiscal year 21 to continue to pay prior year obligations and to be carried over into fiscal year 2022. Thank you again, Senators, for your support of charter schools. Our laws support parents' choice, and we are asking that you support their choice. Here's Masi.
Thank you, Speaker. You know, I have some questions, but I'm going to save it for Ms. Vanjie and the DOA rep, because it relates to the budget, and I know that you're all supposed to be working with the two in the middle to make sure your budgets are set up. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next charter school. And you asked for, Speaker, the number was 765, right? The number of students increased. Okay. We're going to work with all the numbers that you've all requested. Then we'll move from there, and then we'll figure out what would be the appropriate amount of funds to provide you for each student cost. Okay? Thank you.
Good morning, Senators. My name is Shireen Mantanotnya from SIFA Learning Academy Charter School. Thank you so much for having us, Senator San Agustin, Senator Nelson, Senator Adet, Senator Dueñas, and Senator Brown. Our current school stat right now is at 302. Our target is for 350 students at 6,200. We currently receive the CARES Act services through federal programs for ESF 1 at $529.75. SIFA also received ESF 2 at $723,895.66. We are pending assurances for the ARP at $1.9 million. We did receive PPP to secure our salaries at $285,308.47. SIFA has struggled throughout this whole year through the pandemic, as everyone else has. Our curriculum focuses on STEAM-based curriculum, enhanced with 21st century skills. SIFA's curriculum was designed using the Next Generation Science Standard and the Common Core State Standards. Through scaffolding progression, SIFA uses project-based learning to learn and recognize real-world situations and find equal and equitable solutions. During the pandemic, SIFA LACS was able to continue daily classes from the start of the shutdown due to our 21st century skills and applications. And we continued to progress with that type of learning mode throughout this past school year through hard copy and virtual modes. In school year SY 2021, it has been a challenging year with a lot of shutdowns and a lot of restrictions. Most of our annual competitions that we normally enroll in were canceled. However, we did manage to boost the morale of our students and enroll them into what competitions were out there. We did manage to enter a few and came up on top. Our math counts team went into a competition held on March 26, 2021. 2 students participated in the state competition. Out of 15 of Guam's qualified students, one of our students ranked number 1. This qualifies for the Math Counts national competition. The island-wide science fair was held on April 10, 2021. All of our participants marked at the top of their categories. We did have a 3rd place winner in physical science. We did have a 2nd place winner in ecology and earth science. And we did have a 1st place winner in human and medical categories. All of our students, despite the pandemic, has prevailed and has shown that what we are teaching on a daily basis, it does reflect with our students. They had the opportunity to focus on their 21st century skills again through this pandemic, which is what we teach on a daily basis. So we're pleading with the legislature to please give us the $6,200 per child so that we can continue to grow and thrive throughout the next school year. Thank you, Senators, for having us.
Thank you. Ms. Nishihara. I'm not going to miss that last name this time.
Good morning, Senator Nelson, Senator San Agustin, Senator Ada, Senator Dueñas, and Senator Brown. Thank you for having us here this morning. And I want to, rather than reiterate the hardships that the other schools have expressed, it goes the same for each school, and as well as every agency and organization probably through this whole entire pandemic. So I'm going to go ahead and go straight into the data that was requested of us. iLearn Academy Charter School last school year had 740 students. We graduated promoted 119 kindergartners to the first grade and graduated 111 fifth graders. Closing out the school year, we ended up with 735. As the school year progressed, students withdrew, relocated. Because our budget was actually only for 620, we did not accept any students past that number. However, every year our cycle, our process is that in February we start having applications for the next school year. And again, in February, we had a large number of students trying to get in. We currently have, the way iLearn works is that we have a waiting list based on what happens when the legislature approves, and then we have a waiting list on top of the waiting list, and those are the people who don't fulfill that number. So currently on our regular waiting list, until the legislature approves us for 740, is 144 students. Of the 144 students, our greatest concern is the 100 kindergarten students we will not be able to accept should we remain at 620. So we're talking about students who are not transferring in, but are entering into their journey in their academic career. So our request is for 740, and our cap for school year 21-22 is for 740 students. I could give a backdrop as to why we exceeded the number. Last year during the budget hearing, and I know Senator Nelson and Senator San Augustine is fully aware of this, and they did the best that they could to support us. But with the 740 was supported in the budget hearings, but when it came down to actual passing the budget, 620 was what came out. But when the budget passes, we're already in the beginning of the school year. So we had to make a decision, what do we do with these kids? And in the middle of a pandemic, how do you tell 120 kindergarten students, you need to go find another school? And you waited and so forth. So we decided to, well, I got into a lot of flack and by everybody, but how do I tell 120 kids, right, and let go 6 kindergarten teachers? So we took them, and fortunately for us, because of pandemic and school closure, we did not have to open up the classrooms necessary for these kids to come in. So our budget for rent and facility did not go up with the number of students. We also worked with the PPP. Instead of utilizing that fund during fiscal year 20, we used it during fiscal year 21. So that allowed us to bridge the gap in the finances. So what iLearn did was try to accommodate and reprioritize the funding that we had. We did not go back to the legislature and say, hey, you know, we still need more money. Although we wanted to, we just didn't think it was the right time to do so. So our hope is that our priority today is to get that 740. And if we could get some kind of commitment so we can tell those kids, yes, you do have a school to go to now. And so let me go down to the CARES Act. We received with ESF 1, $312,255.40, and that went to PPE supplies, promoting social distancing, such as extending our classrooms to the outdoor with canopies and desks. We also improved our pickup system because most of our kids do not utilize the bus. So we tacked into the software system called Pick My Kid. This allowed kids to be called from the classroom when their parents enter into the gate. So by the time the parents go into the pickup line, the students are already waiting and there's no clustering. So we were able to use ESF 1 for clustering situations. Because we're a STEM school and we already had some forms of technology, we were able to utilize ESF 1 to bring internet access to students and teachers who had limited or no internet access. We increased and updated our technology where it was able to with the $312,000. Then we received more money in the form of ESF 2 for $1.4 million. And again, this went to more PPE supplies such as plexiglass, HEPA filters, disinfecting, sanitizing services, Pretty much things that would help us make the school a safer and more comfortable place for the students to return. We also continued with distance learning, which we used for curriculum such as Amplify ELA. We extended the terms of what we had, the IXL, Nearpod, these softwares. We established memberships for all of our teachers to the National Science Teacher Association, and they were able to attend virtually the conferences addressing mental health of our students during post-COVID instructional time. Then we were offered PATH, which is providing access to homes. However, this funding source, iLearn opted to not accept because we had already addressed the internet access to all our students and our teachers. We received also from ARPOA, which of $4.9 million. This again continued with PPE, but the main purpose for the ARP is for learning loss. So we're going to apply this to our summer school program, which is currently in process. All the summer school kits, such as individual agricultural kits, individual robotic kits, individual engineering kits, individual virtual reality goggles, individual laptop computers for all 740 kids, for the rationale that students cannot share their devices because of COVID. So we had a lot of icing to our academic program because of ARPOA, but like Speaker Wampat had said, we could not utilize all of these funds for our daily operational. So they were great blessings, but it did not change what we had to do on a day-to-day basis. iLearn's core instruction is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, elementary school. Curriculum carries out the NGSS, the Next Generation Science Standards, and ISTE, International Society of Technology and Education Standards. The primary academic materials curriculum used are Amplify Science, Amplify English Language Arts, McGraw-Hill Math, and Achieve 3000. We utilize software such as IXL, Tinker, Lego Robotics Curriculum, and Nearpod. Our academic performance, iLearn Academy Charter School participated in the ACT Aspire statewide assessment. However, I don't have the results with me at this time. During this time, we're usually compiling our end of the year data, and I should have that available to you by mid-July. iLearn's end of the year diagnostic was done by McGraw-Hill and Achieve 3000, and these are also being compiled for reporting at the end of mid-July. However, preliminary results indicate that students did not suffer learning loss during online academic experience. I can't say that too loud because ARP requires us to address learning loss, but I gotta tell you, our students adjusted real quick to the online learning, and our teachers and our students from day one saw each other on a day-to-day basis. One of the things I forgot to mention was through ESF1, we also was able to acquire Zoom conferences, so the students were able to meet with their teachers on a day-to-day basis. In August, when school closed on March 16, 2020, iLearn's innovative teaching methods allowed our students and teachers to quickly adapt to distance learning. iLearn was ready for a hybrid platform in August 2020 to ensure that learning loss did not take place. Students met with their teachers and communicated with their classmates on a daily basis until they were able to return face-to-face. In the spring of 2021, we were able to open up at the comfort zone of the parents, so only 200 of the 740 students returned on campus, but that was by parent choice. In August of 2021, it is iLearn's intent to return 100% face-to-face with funding through the CARES Act and to implement programs that will continue to address learning loss while promoting academic acceleration. Again, our primary goal for today's budget hearing is for iLearn to receive the go-ahead for 740 students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your additional request for your 740.
Thank you.
And I honestly believe, Ms. Shara, for all the numbers that are being requested by all the charter schools, I don't think you're going to get a lot of anyone not wanting to support you, because it's about teaching children. There's a difference. If it's something else, then we'd be debating all day. Now we'll proceed with Career Tech, ma'am. And for iLearn, congratulations on your new building. I'll make a statement about your new building after she's done.
Good morning, Senators. My name is Tamar Sellis. I am the teacher, administrator, and principal at Career Tech. As the representative for Career Tech High Academy Charter School, I would first like to express our deepest gratitude for the legislature's approval of our charter, which allowed us to open in October 2020. We didn't know, however, that we would not receive any of the hundreds of millions of federal dollars that Guam's other schools and IHEs are receiving to support their operations during this pandemic. Because of our ineligibility for ESF, ESF2, PATH, ARP, we found ourselves struggling financially to meet many of this year's unforeseen challenges. Career Tech students have unfairly shouldered the financial burden of compulsory education this school year. If given the full appropriation of $6,200 per student for 100 students for school year 2021 to 2022, Career Tech and its students could enter the new school year with dignity. As you can see from our income statement on page 2, Career Tech has spent an average of $13,000 to $13,500 per month. This is enough to pay our 2 employees, our lease agreement, and web services for the past 9.5 months. Our budget request for $6,200 per pupil is a humble request, not just because it's significantly less per pupil in the Guam public school system and significantly less per convict in Guam's prison systems, but because Career Tech is a new school whose opening coincided with the world's largest shared crisis in living memory. To reiterate, Career Tech was approved after half a decade to open for school year 2020 to 2021. Because of this prolonged start, we were ineligible for any federal funding from the CARES Act, its second iteration, or the American Rescue Plan. These grants and other programs have equipped our siblings in the education realm with the ability to address the technological and public health needs of their students. In our budget for FY21, you'll see requests for PPE, student computers, campus Wi-Fi, and teacher laptops in our budget, things that federal funding could have equipped us with this school year. We have shown this past fiscal year that we are able to make do with about $13,500 per month, but the unspoken cost, the other teacher and I, the other employee and I on payroll, driving students to tutoring sessions, taking them on hikes, purchasing laptops from our own pockets, amounts to much more than that. A slight increase of $6,200 will help us continue our operations and grow our enrollment in the coming years. I am aware of how it sounds to only have 27 students. However, interest grows every week. My board members have spent their own money to reinvigorate our advertising campaign this month, and we received 4 enrollees in the past 2 weeks. I get about 1 call a day from people asking about our school. As of yesterday, we have a total of 14 new students for next school year. Combined with the 20 to 25 students expected to continue with us because of relocation, we are looking at 35 to 40 students, and we still have 1 more week of this school year. I do not want to present our situation as desperate. Career Tech has been able to forge strong relationships with our students and their families. Our students have been on hikes, They've played ultimate frisbee, they've gone swimming, they've gone sailing. They've had weekly tutoring sessions through our partnership with the Guam Public Libraries. Our students have all taken an American Sign Language class, a fundamentals course, and had the opportunity this past Saturday to communicate and make friends with deaf students in Guam's other schools. To my knowledge, we are the only high school on Guam to have offered ASL, American Sign Language, as a language elective. I only request that you support our vision to be Guam's only school offering a high school curriculum that is culturally rooted and career ready. And that is to award us the full appropriation of $6,200 per pupil for 100 students for the coming fiscal year. Thank you, Senators.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I'm just kind of bothered that everybody else gets help, but you don't get any help. Everybody gets a piece of federal money and everything else, but you don't. Huh? And you didn't get it because you weren't eligible. Is that correct? Hi.
That is correct, yes.
I'm going to assume because you started, you only had 1 year. I mean, maybe the council can explain that or DOA can explain that, but somebody is going to have to make us understand how does that work, and at the same time, the school be denied. If I'm correct, I think most of you are teachers, right? Because I'm an instructor from the military, and for every classroom, whatever the size of that classroom is, you provide full funding for that classroom. May it be a fraction less, but if it goes over that set number, the dollars pour in. And if I'm correct, you have 27 students, and you should have had, and if you split them into two, what is the standard for classroom? If I'm correct, DOE is 32. So in other words, or something like 25 to 32, and any fraction thereof, they dump money into the classroom to make sure the next classroom is able to move. But maybe Vanji or DOA can explain more why they couldn't get any funds. We got 27 of our children. I'm going to say our children because they're all part of Guam. Why they couldn't get funding and why no support can come down that way. And I don't know how DOA may want to be responding to that because other than the eligibility. But Vanji, maybe you can explain a little bit about that.
Thank you, Senator. A large factor to that is because they're fairly new. They didn't have the data prior to. So a lot of these grants, you've got to have the data or to quantify past years. So with them just being on board with the charter school, very new, and prior to her recent number, there was only 7 or 9 students at the time. So they didn't have any data, and it being with only a year opened, that was a big factor. A lot of it, that was the factor.
But how do you explain, like Ms. Nishara and all the other charter schools say, you've got federal funds for the purpose of, was that education missed or lost? The impact is the same. It doesn't matter where you're at. The loss is loss. So I'm just trying to understand.
Unfortunately, how the grants are built, I mean, a lot of the schools had all the data, they had the numbers to justify it. And again, from what I've been informed and that I know, is that the school is fairly new. It just started, and they didn't have, you know, if it was open maybe 3 years ago and they had the numbers or they had something to justify, then that would have been a big factor. That would be one big factor for them probably being eligible for this. But unfortunately, this is why I've expressed, and I've been in total support with Career Tech in giving them the 100 students and the funding for them, because they were the ones that have not received any federal dollars given to them for any sort, only our local funds.
All right, we'll figure out something as we move along.
Okay, thank you.
Next question I want to ask is it's really going to pertain to the two of you, and you guys can answer it for everyone. prior year outstanding personnel service, any prior year obligations that needs to be paid off?
Good morning, Senators. My name is Grace Adrosa. I'm from DOA. There are some prior year obligations that...
There are at the schools?
Yeah. Well, the two schools that have submitted their requests are from Guahan Academy Charter School and iLearn.
Okay, do you have funds in the system to pay it off?
Right now, the requests are being reviewed. The one for Guahan Academy, which has been submitted for some time now, has been in discussion with our director, Mr. Edward Byrne, and the council chairwoman on how to proceed with the processing of those payments. And let me just give some kind of background into the prior year obligation. We did some research, and this amount actually started in fiscal year 19. It was originally $2 million, and in FY20, there was about 1.1 that was paid out, and then now we are left with the 658,000 that we still have yet to pay.
Okay.
Okay? So this is what's being reviewed right now. So there were some issues in the processing of these requests, and right now that's being discussed between DOA and the council and trying to get it paid the soonest.
Okay.
Now for the iLearn, we've recently received their requests, so some of the supporting documents have just been submitted, so that's currently being reviewed. So that's where we're at with the prior year obligations for these two schools.
Okay, you do understand that in the Budget Act, we allowed for prior year obligations to be paid for if there's funds available, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's one. Number two is exactly what Speaker Wampat brought up, that we supported Bill 150. Trying to look at the bill that allowed for the carryover so they can pay off all their bills. I just don't, it's going to be very hard for my colleagues to understand. You got a surplus in Gov Guam of 46 million. You have an authorization to pay bills. You've got vendors that are old and they're not being paid. This needs to get settled. It needs to get settled before we go into the Budget Act, because I'm not going to support a carryover to pay a bill that should have been paid already. So please work it, get it done, give us a commitment to the council that it'll be resolved before the new Budget Act comes in place, because I just don't, it's going to be hard for my colleagues here to sit here and says, yeah, we got 46 million, but we got schools that didn't pay their bills. Wait a minute, there was a Budget Act that allowed them. Number two, we got vendors out there saying, when are we going to get paid? And the biggest issue, I remember Mr. Burns said on TV, on KOM, if you got a bill, come see me. So maybe for the charter schools, if you have any vendors out there that are old from you, send them down and we'll figure it out. But it's got to get settled. This is the only time probably you're going to get a shot to close these bills. After this, we don't know what's going to happen next year and the following years. Okay, so if you can please just take care of it.
Senator, if I may say something?
Yes, Ms. Vera.
Just so you know that I have been meeting with the director of DOA and Ms. Adrosa. We met 3 times in this last few weeks. I am, as the chair, I inherited this. I'm not going to, the buck stops with me. I've expressed it to the charter schools. It's going to be addressed. It's going to move forward, and we're going to pay out the prior year obligations. I know, Senator Nelson, thank you for your letter to DOA. That was a strong letter. And we are fully aware. I know it's been here since 2019. Moving forward, my goal and objective for all the charter schools is to pay off all these prior year obligations, Senator. Just so you know, we are working on this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Has all the majority of the budget supplies and equipment been set up for procurement? Whatever that you're allowed? Are the schools on track? Are the charter schools, I just need to see a thumbs up that you're on track. Whatever you were budgeting to buy, supplies and everything, is already set up to be purchased. We got Guåhan, okay, we're moving on, okay. Career Tech, you just need some more money, right? Okay, we'll figure this one out. I've heard the testimony about federal assistance. We just need to figure out how to take care of Career Tech. We don't need this. One student is all you need to suffer, and that is expensive. No student should be left behind, especially on Guam.
Thank you, Senator.
Just down the street in Agad. Okay, other than that, I'm in support. I'm going to tell you right now, without even really massaging my colleagues, I'm in support of the number increased student population, okay? I'm also in support currently of what you requested, the 6,200 per student. But if it goes up, the cost, the amount of money we provide you, the funds we provide you, please be mindful. And I think Speaker Wamba is aware of it, and I think Ms. Nishihara is aware of it. The previous years, we went down based on the economy. So whatever we end up giving you this fiscal year for 2022, por favor, don't waste it. Because the following year, you may not get that amount. It may drop based on the economy. If money doesn't roll around and we don't get revenue, you can expect the next budget year, per student costs will go down. If it stays up, great. If it doesn't, don't say you weren't warned this fiscal year. Okay? I'll ask now the oversight chair, but one more question. Do you have an office, Benji? Because you're supposed to be given some kind of accommodation for where the Charter School Council can meet and all that stuff. Do you guys that coordinate with DOA?
Yes,
Okay,
Senator.
thank you.
Yes, we do.
Madam Senator Nelson. Okay, you get it last? Okay, Senator Ada, do you have any questions to, or comments to the panel?
Yes, just a couple. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Madam Speaker, and to everyone. Currently, where is each charter school at with face-to-face learning? Have you guys already opened up 100%, or are you still on the 3 platforms or 2 platforms, whatever it is, in person, online, and hard copy? Madam Speaker, you can go ahead and go first.
Thank you very much. We did open towards the end of the school year for the face-to-face, and we had surveyed our parents, and only 255 decided to send their children to face-to-face. We continued, but that was Monday, Wednesdays. We continued with the online Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then for those parents who didn't want either, opted to go with hard copies, and the only way to do that was once a week on a Friday, where we would give the children lessons for the whole week. They drop them off, and then they pick up again the following week. So, but we are setting ourselves up for, of course, 100% face-to-face. There is still the restriction from CDC now. We went from 6 feet apart to 3 feet apart, and that's what we're working on to try to make sure that we can actually have full capacity in every classroom. However, our classrooms are not the standard size classrooms, so technically if you have 50% allowed to come back, that's about 350 or 70 students. If I'm going to allow now, based on the 3 feet apart, we're talking about 500 some students, so there would still be a difference, and parents have indicated that they still want to continue online. We will not offer hard copies next school year.
And is your school already prepared for face-to-face learning? You have the face mask, you have the...
Like I said, with all the supplies and equipment and materials that we're getting out of the grant, yes, we will. The only restriction right now that when we did some calculations is the overflow of the 3 feet apart, not having additional space. So I've requested for enclosed tents so that then we would be able to place the overflow into those classrooms. I had tried to request to retrofit I found a company to retrofit containers for classroom, but it was rejected by, I guess, the federal people because one is that we are in a facility, quote unquote, not owned by the government. Secondly, they consider it to be then hooking up the power and all that to a facility, again, that is not ours. And so, and if I may, because this is really important, because we had this conversation when we tried to help and fight for career tech to be able to qualify for those federal dollars, and the response was that in our Zoom meetings was that because they were not in operation for a year, they had to be in operation for a year. But there are really a lot of restrictions, primarily set by SEA, which is the State Education Agency, which is GDOE. And we have a hurdle right now, even for summer school, where we want to be able to pay our teachers the same salary as DOE, but because, as you know, all private schools, non-public schools, and charter schools are not obligated by either their board policy to ensure that our teachers are certified by passing Praxis 1 or 2. And then that was the only way in which our schools will be able to operate. Otherwise, it'd be so cost prohibitive for us to go that same route. So we've requested for a change, of course, of heart to then pay our teachers the same salary as DOE teachers for the summer school.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Ms. Mantononia, SIFA, are you guys ready for face-to-face?
No. So as of now, we ended our school year virtually with hard copy modes as well. When we first did our shutdown last school year, our curriculum never stopped due to our STEAM-based and technology curriculum. Our classes were a status quo with utilizing Google Classroom. They were able to do all of their work and go to school, teaching. Everything was online, and we did provide drop-off boxes for hard copy. We were able to try to apply for going back to face-to-face in the third quarter. However, our parent survey, most of our students, they opt not to come back, so we would only have a handful of students for face-to-face because they were fully engaged with our virtual program, and we had very minimal hard copy students at the time. So as of now, we're looking forward for next school year to try to open up 100% face-to-face. However, again, like Dr. Wonpat said, that all depends on the restrictions given by CDC and Department of Public Health.
And hopefully we'll be able to get that guidance way before the school year begins. And when is your school slated to open?
We are targeting August 10th.
August 10th for the new school year?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Nishiara with iLearn.
Hi. iLearn is currently running a summer school program which is 100% face-to-face, but it's only 130 students at this time. We are anticipating opening 100% face-to-face, and we're pretty much ready and geared for it. Because of all the items in the CARES Act, we have plexiglass galore in the classrooms to accommodate when we can't do the 3 feet, but the barracks up at Ukudu Village is huge compared to standard. So we're able to actually fit all of the students to run properly. But these classrooms are also highly disinfected. They're going to have HIPAA filters, not just one standing like this, but all the air conditioners in the room will also have those UV lights. It's so disinfected, our kids won't know what a germ or a bacteria is, and I'd be surprised if they even sneeze throughout the school year. So we're ready.
No,
Sorry.
that's good to hear. I'm glad that, you guys are ready for face-to-face and the new school year. I think our children have really lost a lot of education this past year, and hopefully they'll be able to, I know it's not going to be able to make it up, but at least to gradually get back to where they were.
Yes.
And hopefully exceed what has happened this past year, right?
Yes.
I think that
Yeah, sorry.
I think that going back face-to-face is very important.
Especially for the elementary kids, they desperately need to see their friends. That's how they develop leadership. That's how they develop collaboration skills and interpersonal skills. Those are very necessary. And we've noticed that with the pandemic, one of the key things we've actually had to fight is not the learning loss. The high anxiety these kids experience and not know how to express themselves. They can only express themselves if they come face to face. That won't be addressed through virtual online.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. Ms. Celis with Career Tech.
So Career Tech has been online only since we opened on October 5th, and our last day of school is actually next Friday, and we'll be closing out the school year online as well. However, we did have face-to-face initiatives between January and May. From January to February, it looked like weekly field trips every Wednesday and Thursday with small groups of students, just getting them in some kind of physical outdoor space with a small group of their peers. And then from March to May, it was in the form of our weekly tutoring sessions, again, every Wednesday and Thursday at a public library. Yeah, we would have offered hard copies, but our school doesn't have a printer, so yeah, it has just been a very difficult school year. But yeah, because of our face-to-face initiatives this year, since the beginning of this year, I think we were able to build a lot of strong relationships with our families and our students.
So you're looking at going face-to-face 100% in the new school year?
Our campus isn't equipped with internet or like a computer lab, so right now we're just prioritizing our hands-on like career and technical education courses to be on campus. It might not be a full 5 days a week, just depending on whether we're able to equip our campus with internet and computers. But as of right now, we're looking at a minimum of 2 days a week.
Okay. Yeah, I understand the challenges that the charter schools have, and hopefully that working with the oversight chair, Senator Nelson, and the budget chair, Senator San Agustin, that we'd be able to come up with some type of solution for the charter schools, and hopefully, from the largest charter school to the smallest charter school, all our children need to be educated. And, you guys are really a part of the educational system, right? From DOE to the private schools, the non-parochial schools to charter schools. Any of our children that was left behind is one too many, right? So whatever we can do to help support and help educate our children for a better and healthier, future, then I think, I know we'll be on the right track. But thank you all of you for your budget presentation. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Madam Chair, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Ada. Senator Chris Duenas, do you have any questions or comments?
Just Posse, Madam Chair, and Madam Speaker, welcome. We've had the pleasure of having back-to-back speakers. Yesterday we had, of course, our esteemed Speaker B.J. Cruz, and of course having the speaker now this morning is quite a delight. I've heard nothing but good things, really, even in the light of this pandemic. The feedback from the charter schools and from parents that I've talked to has been just tremendous. The quality of education, Madam Speaker, your dream when you went down this road as a senator, and is really coming true. And I want to just thank each and every one of you for all you do. I think you've made reasonable presentations here today, and we want to thank you for your detailed listing. I really only have one area of concern, that I've heard this morning, Ms. Cepeda, and I'm wondering, it's been brought up that maybe it's been in your board meetings or the like that, the issues surrounding Ms. Salas and that, you know, their situation. It seems to me like these kids are just students in the educational system. Has there been a formal letter written to DOE to be able to, you know, address their concerns on the federal sources? I know we've been over the issue of the qualification, but it just seems to me like they're the students in the system, and I'm wondering why DOE couldn't, you know, backfill with the federal funds that they've been getting in terms of what their needs are.
Thank you, Senator. As you know, that I've been in communication with Ms. Tamar with moving forward and trying to help them and providing whatever necessary for the career tech. I know that we've made it a point, I've shared with her that this is the summer. I'm hoping for her school to end next week. And she and I in the summer are going to meet, because we're looking for other alternatives to provide her with this funding. Because, you know, when she shared with me that the campus is not equipped, small things like the printer, stuff of those nature, it breaks my heart as the chair to hear this, and her passion with the students that attend there. And so she and I have been in communication with regards to this, and we're trying to get some sort of funding for her for this school year for Career Tech. So yes, Senator, to answer your question, we are finding every means possible. And I, just so you know, that I've been reaching out to DOE to get whatever we can get, because even if we can get $20,000, it's something that we did not have for Career Tech. So yes, to answer your question, we are definitely looking for any way possible to provide funding towards Career Tech.
So I'm just going to go to you, Ms. Salas, once again, because I want this to be part of the record, because we're going to have to find a solution, I believe. I mean, your role, even though albeit the small number of students that you have at this point, I mean, Career Tech, it is one of the fundamental things, along with all of the curriculum throughout the charter schools, that we're really trying to make sure that at that venture and that level of our students who have achieved at that level, I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is get them into the workforce, get them career-minded straight away. So just for the record, once again, can you put on the record what your needs are and what it would do in terms of allowing you to accomplish your mission?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about our need. Of course, you know, this school year has just had a unique set of challenges for all schools. So at the top of our list would, of course, be internet for the campus, and if not for the campus, then data, portable Wi-Fi services for our students, student laptops, desks, chairs, teacher computers, office computers. So those are, you know, very fundamental, primary essentials for a school, but even with that, we were lacking this school year. And, you know, the other teacher and I had to shoulder those costs, and then, of course, just our students really had to just use their phones for class, use their data to attend. So it would just be those priorities that we'd ask for. One possible thing that Ms. Vanjie and I were looking at is if we were able to access a little bit more of our FY 2020 funding, or our current fiscal year funding, right? Because we've only been requesting in tune with our 27 student enrollment. So if we could access the complete $600,000 that has already been earmarked by the legislature for this fiscal year, or half of that even, you know, that would really equip us well for next school year.
Thank you, Tamara, for putting that on the record. I'm sure as we're saving the best for last, our education chair, you know, will address that. It just seems like there's got to be a way. I mean, like you said, those are basics. Those are all fundamental, and they're all in line with the programs that the federal funds were designed for. I mean, they're all intricate to this condition. It's not just standing up your school, but the special circumstance that we're under right now. Because I'm sure probably without the barriers that are existing because of what everybody has dealt with in the year and a half now with COVID, probably would have just worked through the system somehow or some way as a supplemental appropriation, or maybe something even internal, piggybacking off of another school or the like. But there's got to be a way. And so I know that we're all dedicated to help you out. And just in closing, once again, thank you for all the great presentations. I really like the fact, Madam Speaker, I mean, the emphasis that you've put on getting back to face with these kids. And all of you, I can feel your passion about making sure that you're very aggressive about getting our kids back in school. Because if everything we're going to do in recovering from this pandemic, you know, you folks who are taking care of our kids, I think, are absolute key to our future. We can find ways to shift money around. We can do things we got to do, and we can keep the government going and work with the federal government and everything else. But the nurturing of our children and what you're doing right now, particularly in your specialties, is absolutely key to you know, the longevity after all of this craziness. So I want to thank you for all you're doing. With that, Madam Chair, Situs Masi.
Thank you, Senator Dueñas. Senator Brown, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, and welcome to all of you this morning for providing your presentation on your budget, and certainly welcome to my former colleague. It's hard to believe we started in these halls almost, 28 years ago together. I bring this up because, you know, during that time we debated the creation of charter schools and what the bigger, better agenda would be, and why should we take public funding and invest it in an alternate system from DOE. And certainly, Madam Speaker, you have had such an extensive career in the public education system. Certainly as a teacher and as an administrator, certainly your many years in addressing public policy with regards to education. I mean, you're very multifaceted, but I know your heart has always been with regards to educating our young people in this community. I think we recognize the importance of it. What I would not want to see is the charter schools emulate DOE. That's the whole reason why we debated and put in place the creation of charter schools. We wanted to look at new innovative ways of education. How can we do it, and how can we do it also in a manner that's financially responsible? DOE has done a lot of work over the years in educating our children, but it's also a very big organization. I'm a product. I spent 9 years in public school on Guam, and I got my undergraduate degree at the University of Guam. So most of my education has been through the public system. And as it has been for many of our children, but sometimes you wonder if the institution itself has gotten too big, sometimes to be focused on the main mission. I bring that up because there are a number of private schools, and I have a child in private school who started school in January, in-class instruction. And of course I asked myself, you know, why is it some of our private schools have been able to essentially meet the challenge? Have been able with the limitations because they don't have the luxury. I mean, I'm looking at how much is being asked per pupil, around $6,200, and I started calculating in my mind how much I would be paying as a parent for the length of the next 12 years of my child's education out of my pocket on top of the taxes that I pay, as many parents out there that do send their children to private school. But I made that conscientious decision because I wanted a smaller classroom. I wanted a very supportive learning environment. I left public school in my high school years because the public school at the time, and this is before we had the strike, the teacher strike. I'm dating myself, but we remember that, right? Because when I got to high school, the environment that I was in as a student, I knew would not be conducive to my learning experience, especially at that time and age in my life. And it's probably one of the best decisions I made, and certainly fortunate my parents were supportive of that. Probably every father wishes their 13-year-old daughter will call them up and say, please put me in private school. Very unusual, but it was because of my own experience. I did not, and look what happened as a result, the strike and the changes, and it multiplied our high school numbers, because back then there were only a few high schools on the island, public high schools. So I just want to put that out. I don't want to see the charter schools emulate DOE. I want you to show us how you can be more innovative and creative, to borrow the words of Joseph Atta, and others that view it that way, how we can effectively take that dollar and maximize the learning experience for our students. That's why certainly for the Career Academy, the work that you're doing, even though it's a little rough start, There's definitely a need in our community. Not everyone, desires or is cut out to or want to be in a formal, 4-year institution to get their bachelor's or whatever, their PhDs. And there's not a need in society for it either. I don't think that's the ultimate objective in life. And for those students that is where their passion is, by all means, having the opportunity. I mean, when we were growing up, we went to, those that were interested went to GCC, went to what they called VOTEC, right? And they had that opportunity, and there's a need for it. And they can, individuals that pursue that can even sometimes make more money than the student with the, I got upteenth degrees. So definitely we want to explore that avenue to be available. And I know the challenges of the finances that are there and not having all the resource, but that's what makes you take that extra effort. How do you maximize that dollar? Because that's what I would want to see. I want to see financial accountability. This idea also, because, oh yes, our children, who's not going to say the children of Guam are not important? But we don't want to see abuses in the expenditures of those funds, and we have. I've been to GSA and I've seen brand new books, $80, $90 a book that has never been used in the classroom. And then we go, why hasn't, because it got ordered at the end of the year and we're no longer pursuing this book. This is no longer our lesson plan. I'm like, who made that bright idea? And then who ordered all these books of expense? And now we're surveying them out. It's that kind of excessive waste in government that, is very concerning to all of us, especially when the need is great for other things that we need out in our educational system. I'm also curious as time goes on to see if the pendulum will swing this direction of more parents and students having an interest in charter school. And that's going to be the challenge now for DOE, because that was always the intent. We wanted DOE to be in its toes because of that potential that eventually, if that is the desire and more students want to go to charter schools and the different opportunities that are offered, what does that mean to the bigger institution of DOE? But trust me, we are watching, the public is watching, and we are asking the question. Granted, this pandemic is unprecedented. We hope we never go through it again. But if the private schools with even limited, some of these private schools have more limited resources, operate their classes and pay their teachers. They're not at the rate of the DOE teacher, but they're able to do that at far less than $6,200 per student, and they're operating. They were operating until last month when they ended the school year. So I think we need to look at that focus and how do we facilitate, because you're right, I had spent last year with my child, I found out what Google Classroom is. I didn't know what that was before. But I was able to physically be there to go through the instruction every day. I'm curious with these children online, do they have parents at home? Maybe during that pandemic, maybe some were able to stay home from work, but I am curious, are these children attended to during the school day? Even if they are on their computer, do they have an adult present with them at home? I don't know that. So I'm concerned. That's why I would like to see more of the face-to-face, if it can be done carefully and safely. I wish I invested in plexiglass, because we'd be making a lot of money these days if we were investors in plexiglass. But I just bring that up because those are realities. I don't know that all these underage children have a parent or an adult with them during the day when parents I know are starting to go back to work. So I know I'm bringing up a lot of points, but I think these are all key issues. I mean, I've looked at your budget requests, and I don't have a lot of questions. One only question I do have with regards to previous obligations, are these obligations all authorized? Because I don't want to get a situation where we just spend and then we're not authorized for it, and then we want the government and the people of Guam to come back and pay for the bill. Are all these previous year obligations previously authorized?
Senator, that's one of the items that is being reviewed right now and which caused some of the delay, is to make sure that these requests are in accordance to the law.
Okay, and we do want to see that. I mean, I would only hope that we are spending what is authorized. If there's an extraordinary reason that we need something, then we come back and we ask for additional funds. We don't do that after the fact. I don't like paying money after the fact when someone else has gone out and made decisions that they don't have the authority, especially with regards to money. If you don't have the authorization, then you don't have it. Then you go back up and you make the request for additional funds and you justify it. But I certainly don't want to see a situation where we're expending money that's not authorized and then it becomes an obligation of the government and essentially the people. So that, as long as you continue to be responsible in your expenditures and what's been authorized and continue to deliver quality education, you're certainly going to continue to get support. And it puts everybody on their toes, because now we can't sit back and feel comfortable. We're like, oh, we got to be challenged because, the other school is doing this, this, and this. They're getting more of our student base. So I hope that doing that creates a healthier environment, a better educational environment for our students. You wanted to say something?
For iLearn, the prior year obligation is there because of a cut in our budget in fiscal year 2018 that we've been trying to pay down. In 2018, the budget across all agencies were cut by 8%. But at our budget, we are at a zero budget. We go from everything that's given to us, it's already accounted for. And then so in January, if someone tells us, we have to cut your budget, we have no other sources to cover the whole entire fiscal year.
I understand, that's the reality of life.
Yeah.
So what we do is we adjust moving forward.
Yeah.
And it may not be easy. It may say we can't provide this for these students, we can't provide these many teachers, but when that dynamics happen, then that issue is brought to light and the decision gets made. Sometimes it's not the decision we want, but again, we cannot be spending money that is not authorized. Because I'm not going to be in the other end wanting to support, oh, let's pay this because some administrator decided, oh, we don't have it in our budget, but we need it, let's go ahead and do it, and then we'll get them to reimburse us. That isn't how the process goes. That's why we have these budget hearings. And granted, we're not going to have all the things we need. I don't know any government agency. I mean, the public auditor was kind of conservative with his budget yesterday. But most department agencies, and Speaker Wampat knows this, every year they come in, they want more and more and more and more. And I don't have enough this, and I don't have enough that. And they're not here telling us what we can get, and that's why, or what they can do with what they have. That's why we always had the debate, do we go into performance-based budgeting? And ask the question, what are you going to give me for this additional money? What are the people of Guam going to get if we give you another 5,000, 20,000, 500,000, whatever the case may be, to actually show what's the performance, so we just don't have money going to places unknown and we don't know the deliverables. What are we expecting? If it's Guam Police Department, if we give you this much money to hire these many officers, how much more enforcement action are we going to, how many tickets are we going to see issued, whatever, how many arrests are we going to expect? It's just we're getting to a time that the public is just starting to expect more and not simply settle for, the same old. I don't see that anymore. I think as technology moves quicker, there's a greater expectation for delivery. And the fact of the charter schools, you put up that competition now. You're creating the opportunity for competition for DOE and certainly our private schools as well. And it gives the parents the opportunity of choice. We debated this, we agreed, yes. If you can take that dollar and make a better outcome, wonderful, because we don't want to see the stagnation. Because remember the issues, Speaker, how many kids this year drop out of school? How many, we put all this money and our scores are only at this level. And we pour more money and our scores are still at that level. If we don't see the increase in delivery and the performance to get our kids through school, that's why having alternate educational opportunities of where their interests might be, where their innate calling is great, because we need this whole mix in our community for various career opportunities that are not the traditional, I'm going to go get an undergraduate degree and, I'm going to put my degree frame it on the wall. We need that mix of people, and I think having that opportunity and the choice was always the intended agenda. So it's wonderful to see it, but we just want you to be responsible and accountable, and keep that challenge going so that we can increase and improve the standard of education in this community. With that, Madam Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you again for all of you coming and providing your presentations this morning.
Thank you, Senator Brown. Before I ask the Oversight Chair to ask her question and comments, I'd like to also invite the other charter schools to pursue what iLearn was able to succeed in. Put your packet together, submit it to GURA, and ask for help to build you a charter school. Get your board, your foundation to back you, and I'll tell you what, you never know. HUD may just say, yes, we're going to approve millions of dollars, and you can have your own campus, and you can get out of Gov Guam building. But at the end of the day, just be mindful. If you don't make your payments, your mortgage, it becomes Gov Guam property. That's what it ends up being. If you start doing this as a charter school, just wanted to extend that to all of you to pursue that. Speaker, you wanted to say something in reference to that?
And thank you for that comment, because when I came to GACC, that's exactly what I did. I started to look, elsewhere to see whether we'll be able to get some federal grants to be able to build our own school. Unfortunately, the one thing that was holding us back is the prior year obligations. Once that is clear, then it's open for us now to pursue other avenues than to build our own campus.
All right, that's what I like to hear, because I do oversee also Guam Gura, so if you need any assistance, my office is always willing to help you. Senator Nelson, the oversight chair of the charter school. Your comments or questions, ma'am?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank the council members for the continued effort that you do to support our charter schools. We really appreciate your transparency and your dedication to the work. It's not easy, and you don't really get paid much, and so it's more like gratis, right? Free. You're doing this out of the love of education, so thank you for your efforts. And, to the different schools, thank you for preparing your testimonies and your budget reports. Ms. Vanjie, what is the primary challenge of being able to pay off prior year obligations?
Thank you, Senator. Okay, so I spoke with Director Burns, and the biggest tackle would be with the Guam Academy Charter School. And I don't want to say too much because I know right now they're in legal, and I want to respect that. But with that said, we're working. We want to ensure that the prior year obligation is in compliance with the law. And, Mr. Byrne wants to be 100% comfortable, and I want to be 100% comfortable. I've assured GACC, Guam Academy Charter School, and Dr. Wampat that we're moving and we're going to hope to get this resolved and paid out. And so that's where we're at now. I've been meeting with Mr. Byrne already. We've met this last month, I think 3 times, and we just met last week in regards to this. So that's the concern. His concern was the law with regards to that, and he wants to be 100% sure to sign his name on it. And I understand where he's coming from, but we've gone back and forth, and we're hopefully going to resolve this in the next week or so. Just so you're assured, Senator.
Okay.
Because my goal as the chair of the council, and that's the power that I do have, the one thing I do have, is to pay off these prior year obligations. I've been in communication with each of the charter schools. We've got a WhatsApp. We're very open in our communication, and I've expressed that their prior year obligations will be paid, and we'll find a way, working very closely with DOA on that. So yes, Senator, that we're working at, and we're hopefully going to get this resolved at our next board meeting, our council meeting. That will be in discussion, and hopefully by August or before then, that will be paid out.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate the effort that you are doing to work with Mr. Byrne. We have been going back and forth and trying to resolve this issue as well, so we submitted a bill just to rectify one singular word to ensure that they get paid out, and I guess it's open for interpretation.
Yes.
And so we want to ensure that every school pays out their prior year obligation, because these vendors have made an investment towards the school and towards our children. And so I just want to ask, are there any deficiencies in any of the documentation that our charter schools have submitted to the council for prior year obligation?
Just so you know, Senator, Dr. Wampat and I also, she's going to provide me the supporting documents that will, I guess, calm the waters, so to speak, and so we can move forward and getting this paid out. I just basically, like you said, language of the law, the back and forth, but I want everyone to be comfortable. And I need all parties concerned when they sign their name, that they're fully comfortable and understanding that it's within the law and moving forward. So yes, we're just getting the supporting documents, and then we'll hopefully get all these prior year obligations paid out to the vendors. It's been long overdue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have you received, or do you review the curriculum that each school presents for their students?
I do. We do. The council does. I kind of, I read through it. I kind of highlight certain things and just kind of take note of it. I write things down and put it in my notes. Yes, Senator, to answer your question.
What is the curriculum for Career Tech?
For Career Tech, their curriculum is more on specific certain skills, labor, mechanics, stuff like that. Kind of sort of the VOTEC mentality back in the days where you would go to school and you get hands-on training with regards to their whatever skill that they may want to follow or pursue.
And what is the forward path for the students that attend Career Tech?
I apologize, Senator, what was your question again?
What is the forward path for the students who attend Career Tech and graduate? Do they graduate with a certificate?
They get
for
a
that
certificate,
special
but I
skill?
think they're 9th and 10th graders at
Okay.
Career Tech.
So it's only freshmen and sophomore?
Correct.
And do they receive a certificate? Where do they go after 10th grade?
You know what, can I go ahead and, Senator, if I may, pass that to Ms. Tamars?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hi, thank you for the question. So we only enroll new students from the 9th and 10th grade levels, but we do follow them up as they matriculate to 11th and 12th grade. So our first graduating class will be our current sophomores. They'll be graduating in 2023. So with a lot of workplace certifications, it requires that the adult or the student is at least 18 years old. So our goal is really to give them like the skill set, the knowledge, and also the hands-on experience so that they can, upon graduation or upon whenever it is that they are 18, they're able to take the test and pass it on the first go.
How do you track your students after they leave their sophomore year?
They will be continuing at Career Tech. So we're a full high school. Every semester they'll receive the basic science, math, English, social studies, but on top of that, they'll also receive 1 to 2 Career Tech ed classes as electives.
Okay, and so do they graduate with the certifiable high school diploma?
Correct, yes. So it's a diploma, and then if they're able to take the test before graduation, if they turn 18 before graduation, then it will be with that certification as well.
What type of certifications does the school offer that is, certified by nationally organized organizations?
So right now we're looking at getting our Maritime Sciences program off the ground. We feel like that is the most feasible to launch in the next couple of years. And with that, it would be the boat captaincy license. I forget the lettering of it, but it is a nationally recognized boating captaincy license.
What is it, boating?
Boat captaincy?
Oh, boat captaincy. So they're going to be able to be a boat captain when they leave?
Correct, yes.
For how many passengers?
I think it's a 18-foot. I think it's the size of the vessel
Right.
that the captaincy license is issued.
Is that the only certification that you offer?
No, so we have a total of 6 career pathways that we launch, but we're thinking that it'll take anywhere between 2 to 10 years for those programs to fully get off the ground. So right now, because we already have an instructor lined up, because of the practical location of our campus on the beach, it looks like Maritime Science will be the first program that we're able to have students complete a full career pathway in.
So is it just focused on maritime education for the certification for the next 4 years or so?
For next school year, we're looking at Maritime Science, and then if we can get an instructor, it would also be controlled environment agriculture. I don't think that one has a certification per se, but it would allow students to, start a business or start a farm. And then another one that we're looking at is our information technology program. So last semester, during our first semester, students took an intro to IT course, but our instructor for that, he's kind of like a robotics specialist, and he wanted to hold off on the later classes until we were face-to-face, and he could have them interacting with the robotics kids. So those three, I think, are the most feasible, but of the three, it's the maritime science that is really at the top.
Okay, so the career tech focus for their school, for your school, is maritime, IT, and what is the third?
Agriculture, so controlled
Agriculture.
environment agriculture.
And so you already have the maritime curriculum secured. You're pending your agriculture and the IT according to the instructors that you can hire. Right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Sounds like you're building a plane as you fly it. So, we are here to support you, and we want to see the students succeed. And so, Ms. Chair, Madam Chair, if you could please work with the Career Tech and do a calculation on the ESF 1-2 funds that were received by the charter schools and a percentage of how they calculated utilizing their formula. And I'm hoping that we can ask the OFB chair, Senator San Agustin, if we can somehow meet it in a sense, at least halfway to help them resolve their pending needs for the
Yes, Senator.
students.
I will do that. She and I have been talking a lot, and we're moving forward because I do really feel for her and the students of Career Tech. I've passionately stated to her that unfortunately she didn't get any of it, of the pie. I told her she definitely this year will get a piece of some sort of pie, but she would, and I thank you. I will work with her on this.
Thank you.
The council will work with the Career Tech on this matter. Thank you, Senator.
But there's no guarantee that we will appropriate that money, but at least it'll show a figure for the legislature to show that, Career Tech is not at fault for the inability to receive the ESF 1 and 2 funds or any of the federal funds. It was just the fact that their time as an operating school was impacted by those decisions.
Yes, will do. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the Oversight Chair, the Chair of Office of Finance and Budget for also having pre-budget meetings with the schools and allowing us to be a part of it. We appreciate the input and the dialogue that was discussed there, and I have extensive notes on that matter. And I appreciate also that the schools, when your enrollment increases, you work with the Office of Finance and Budget to ask for the increase in the statute, not just as part of your data set, but also to put it in the public law when we go forward and we debate the budget for the government of Guam. I also appreciate how the schools have been able to operate on their own and also being transparent with the fundings that they utilize. I understand that there are some challenges that you see, and however, I see you resolving those challenges, and so I appreciate that. And I appreciate also the testimonies you put forward. They're very detailed, and they are very meticulous. And they're all women here, so I think that's where the details and the ability to be meticulous is in these testimonies. So thank you very much. I think my colleagues will be able to understand the challenges of the charter schools, of our charter schools, and I hope that they will support the increase to 6,200. And I was just wondering, why did you not ask for more? Is that all the charter schools need to operate, or are you being conservative in that number.
Thank you, Senator Nelson, for that. Yes, thank you. I'd like to get the opportunity to respond to that. As the chair of the council, I understand times are hard. We are being conservative despite the needs of the children. And I didn't want to have a dream up list. It's not realistic. So I went to each of the charter schools and I said, look, let's come to a happy medium. We're not looking at 7,000. It's unrealistic, even if it is. But it's a tough choice. We're not going to go for 6,500 either. Everyone is hurting. Safety is an issue. Everything. So working along with the charter schools, I'm going to say that we went to a happy at 6,200. And I said, okay, that's fairly reasonable. I asked them to please stretch their dollars. And that's how we did it. And sure, we could ask for more. We're not probably going to get it. But on a serious note here, I'd rather ask for 6,200, be realistic, and get something close to that, or even to match that. Then that would be great.
Okay.
And I also want to say, for the record, that the charter schools, because as a council, I want to say this, that each of these individuals here, they do a dual role. They do 10 different roles. So it's not like, I'm not going to say like the government of Guam where you have your duties and responsibility. If you do more, you're paid more. These individuals here do far more, and go back to what Senator Brown stated about utilizing, maximizing their financials, maximizing their duties and responsibility. Each and every one of these individuals, and can I say to include DOA, because I bug her and I know she gets sick of it, but I do. I am one of those hands-on chairperson. I call her, I said, I need this, it needs to be done. If can't, let me schedule a meeting with the director, we need to move forward. So I want to just say that everyone here, they really work and they do carry their duties and responsibilities beyond, and they do everything in the schools. I mean, I just need to say that for the record. So we are maximizing the funding. We are students per classroom, and then the quality of education is somewhat lost. So that's something that I would like to bring up with Senator Nelson, because I know the budget moving forward, but I just wanted to express that since I have the opportunity as the chair, that everyone here have utilized and maximized every ounce, and they understand about the funding to use whatever and be innovative with the funding that they have available to them. So Senator Nelson, to answer your question, we went with 6,200 because we didn't want to have a dream wish or a list that is unrealistic, and we wanted to consider everything. Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate that, especially you mentioning the ability to open additional charter schools, right? But we also have to make sure that these charter schools have the support to be able to sustain themselves in a way, and then also be able to get accredited. And so that is at the forefront, and you're absolutely right, charter schools should be specialized, and also the classroom sizes should be smaller so that there's more time for one-to-one with each student and the teacher. So I hope that we continue to move in the direction as the charter schools have done in the past. And I also would like to congratulate iLearn on again, their new building. So outstanding work, and your school has really been a pioneer and also an example for a lot of the way the education system is being applied. So thank you very much, and congratulations to your students and also to all the faculty and staff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Thank you, ladies, for all you do and all you do for our children, okay? We're going to be, I already made that statement about your population. We're going to work with that number, 765, 350, 740, 100. And we're going to try to figure out a way how to look at the funding problem you have on Career Tech. And maybe, I don't know, I've got the director of OLB here, and he's looking at me like, no, don't give them anything more. But I understand where he's coming from, because he's looking at the numbers. But you know, ladies, you've done a great job. And being that everyone has asked the questions, the committee will conclude the budget hearing with the charter school, the Guahan Academy Charter School. The committee will continue to receive testimony. Please address your written testimony to the Committee on General Government Operation and Appropriation and Housing, and submit it via email at senatorjoesaugustine@gmail.com or to my office located at Rand Care Building, 2nd floor, Suite 3, 761 Marine Corps Drive, Tamuning, Guam. Sizuz Masi for your attendance and participating in today's hearing. And for those at home, thank you for watching. The budget hearing on Bill 55-36 UR relative to the Guahan Academy Charter School is now adjourned. It is now 11 o'clock. Please be safe and have a nice day. Take care.